you ready? I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
Colby and Chip. Oh, and Jim Root is
Jim
back.
Root. Shout out to the big homie. Shout out to Leah. Dang, I gotta get back on these firesides, bruh. Come on, bro.
There's just too much. There's too much to do because you're trying to figure out that other thing.
Yeah.
Figure out. I told Zonia. I put Zonia on the job.
Yet
Zonia, I'm like, you have to. I know. I'm like, Zonia, you have to figure out how can I get more time in the day.
We should sleep less is what needs to happen. Okay. Dear audience,
I do sleep less. I wake up to feed the baby.
If you would like your band reviewed, because this is Tableau Mort, which is Death Table.
I don't know, but that name, I feel like you're gonna like it, but who knows?
Tableau probably means table, and Mort probably means death. So Death Table, Table of Death.
Oh my gosh, the Table of Death.
La ilaha illallah.
Maybe it's like communion, but the opposite.
Okay, so this is a band. There's a black metal band that we actually know the guitarist, founding member, George. See, we always find the mastermind.
Yes, I know. Or the mastermind finds us.
Don't be upset, Tableau Mort. We're just saying your man George is the mastermind. He got you guys a song review. If you, dear listener, would like your band song reviewed, hit us up
at Vin and Sori.
VinandSori@gmail.com. And we will review your song. Okay, so they're a black metal band, right? The name of this song is Carpenter of Sorrow.
Sounds like Jesus. Which
Metallica has a song called Harvester of Sorrow.
Ooh, okay.
I think we actually did that. I think we did a live version of it. So they gave us a record and they said choose anyone that you wanted. So we chose Carpenter of Sorrow. All right, let's do it.
And
go.
Go.
I am messaging my Batushka contact right now. They need to open up for a They need to open up for a Magua Batushka co-headlining tour.
Yes.
This band would be perfect.
I knew it. When I saw the title, I'm like, I think Vin's gonna put that over there in that category of those people you like. I'm like, wow.
This is the type of black metal that would go perfectly. You need to tour with these guys.
Literally sending the message right now. There it is. Boom.
Check out Carpenter.
That's crazy. Their production is really good. Did you hear the it sounded like it sounded like singing in a monastery or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? The
the Gregorian chant type
Gregorian
thing.
Chant type.
But I thought that there was enough variation to where it didn't sound like a Batushka ripoff or anything like that.
No.
But there were elements. The tremolo for the chorus part was beautiful.
Oh, man.
I love, and that's the thing about Magua is like I feel like Magua are the masters of that tremolo work.
Mm-hmm.
But good God, these guys are okay. I'll check it out.
Yeah. Oh, they're saying they're gonna check it out.
I mean, at minimum, these guys are getting a 10. I mean, I want to get into it, dissect the lyrics, but good Lord. Play that part again with the chorus line. What they did on the tremolo.
These are really just like a little local band.
Hold on. I can't find it. Anyway, I'm gonna listen to it again. But everybody knows Magua is my favorite black metal band, and Batushka are very, 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 very close second. But they combined a lot of those elements. By the way, we're gonna have a live listen Batushka party soon. We gotta get the Static X show. We gotta get the Static X show out of the way.
Word.
What?
Well, there's only like 8,000 views on their like actual video, and I think wow, like they need to get some exposure because like they're good.
Well, these guys.
They don't sound like a locally.
Well, the thing is, how do I say this? I just think there's levels to it's like they say in the hood. There's levels to this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So when I listen, you hear Gershok and you hear Heat of Damage. Like they had this section one time in The Source. It's a magazine for hip hop back in the day.
Yeah.
And they had this little corner called Unsigned Hype.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when that guy was saying, Matt J dropped on the album in a week without Unsigned Hype or Battle of the Beats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Unsigned Hype is like, this guy got bars, he can rap his ass off, he just hasn't been signed yet, and we're gonna get this guy exposure.
Yeah.
And then, so like, you have the lunch table rap where everybody can be a rapper, and now everybody that has a SoundCloud account, now you can put music up there, including me, but you won't know where it is, dear listener. So like, those are amateurs. This is not amateur shit. Lyrically,
no.
But even like sometimes like we review bands and like lyrically it's amateur lyrics. You know what I'm saying? You see?
I do. I totally
like,
hear you.
These guys are they're I don't know if they're signed or not. I don't know how that works. But they definitely are not getting the recognition that they should have. Like these guys are ready for.
Yeah, they are.
Big time. Like they're ready for.
Is there a picture of their? I'm saying little band, but it's not. If you showed me this, because I don't know like official names, and you said these guys are big time, I would have believed you.
I agree. I mean, good God, these guys are. I think this is them right here. That's them.
Wild.
Let's
Is
see,
this them
let's
over
use
there?
that as a thumbnail.
If that's
No,
them,
that's Byleth. That's not them. This is them. There you go. We need to use this picture. Oh, this might be. No, that's not them. I'm like, that's very different.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be terrible if we put the wrong image on there? He's gonna be like, I really appreciate you guys liking our band, but
that's not us.
that's not us,
at
you
all.
sons of bitches. Okay, so we're gonna use that one as a thumbnail.
That's crazy.
Look, there it is right there.
Oh my gosh.
Let's use the other one. Okay. These guys are they're on another level.
So are they? I really want to get into the lyrics because, first of all, I really like the beginning line.
What?
When you pull those lyrics back up, or are they here too?
Yeah, it's. Hold on, let me check it. There it is, right there. Yes, I agree. I agree. One of my rules in writing is that I read this book one time. My friend.
No, that's not what I thought the first part was.
No, that's not the right song. This is the song right here.
I'm like, I don't remember saying any of those things.
This is the song right here. I read this book one time and it said like the first line to your song has to.
Yeah.
Armed and dangerous, like. I was never taught I was a slave. You know what I mean? Like real, like bang.
Yep.
And like right from the jump, this song like jumps out at you. And he didn't suggest a song, did he? He just said choose a song.
Yeah, he just said pick one from there.
That's how you know you're a badass.
Yeah, you can be like pick anyone.
Seriously. No, really.
It's true.
Like if I compiled all the songs that are in my head onto a mixtape, I would say that.
They're all
Breathe, the Akhenaten one, like I'm good with all of them. But good God.
Yeah, if you want to see one of our songs, well, here it isn't it up on our channel? Breathe.
Yeah.
It's called
if you
Breathe.
just find Breathe and all the rest of it. But
It's very amateur. We have to actually do it because I could probably do my part better now. Okay, so the first line
we're talking
says,
about...
in moments of fear, we forge our darkest weapons. No matter what the cost to life itself or this place. Now, I'm not sure what they meant, but for me, like, because, like, I'm guided by fear a lot of times, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And, like, when it says, like, that's when we forge our darkest weapons, I was like, fuck, dude, because he's looking at that list. So, when it says that, you're, like, looking at that thing, and I was like, wow, that's exactly what I do. Like, when I get fearful, then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I like make all of my sinister plans when I'm afraid.
What do you mean your sinister plans?
Well, how I'm gonna survive, what if this happens, and what if that happens, and...
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't told of this.
You have been told of that.
No, you've never used the term sinister plans, which align itself. You've never said that to me before. Stop lying to the people.
You call them like jump off plans or something like that. What do you call it? You call it something. We had the conversation before.
Okay, whatever you say.
Anyway.
Whatever you say. So fear causes you to create dark weapons, though?
Well, I wouldn't know. I don't
or
think
you
it's
wouldn't
necessarily.
Call it, you wouldn't call it that.
But I could see it like. Sometimes you have dark thoughts or dark plans when you're in a fearful place. Yeah, I mean. Well, remember I was like talking to that one girl. This is like totally like maybe not at all what they're talking about, but I was talking to that girl and she was saying, she's like, whenever I was a kid and I would be left in the car, my parents would go into the store, I'd start looking around the car at all the things I could turn into a weapon. Okay, I could use that pen, I could use that, because she was afraid, and so she was coming up with plans, So it seems like it might be kind of like one of those things, like.
Okay. I mean, I thought it was pretty clear. I mean, but.
What? Did you get something different from that?
No, I think as a principle, it fits there. But like, what he's specifically talking about is, I'm assuming, Christianity and the horrible things that Christians have done in the name of Jesus, which completely disregard his obvious teachings because Jesus taught us how to handle things. But so he says a carpenter will never be able to atone for what he's wrought, And then it says, all the knowledge through his years wasted this way. So it's not like you would assume, oh, it's black metal, he's talking about Jesus, okay, it's gotta be, you know, BS or whatever. Or
bad.
You know, or bad.
Yeah.
But and obviously as a Christian, the carpenter will never atone for what he's wrought. I mean, we'll have to talk about that in a second, but this line right here, though, isn't a complete repudiation of Jesus in my mind. All the knowledge through his years wasted this way. So it's like he's holding Jesus responsible for the blight on earth that certain versions of Christianity have become. But he's saying, so he's holding him responsible, but at the same time he's saying that we wasted the knowledge that he gave us. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that to me,
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
that to me is a very good balanced way of, like, there are some black metal acts that are just very, very mature, I think, in the way that they handle you know, the effect of Christianity on the world. Like there are some that are just like, oh, it's all God's fault and blah 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 blah. And but for this guy though, I think it's different because he's not completely repudiating Jesus, but he's still holding Jesus responsible for, you know, what people have done in his name. And you know, from that perspective, I can't be mad at him. You know what I'm saying? As a Christian, I can't be mad at that. But I thought it was great. Okay, so he says the carpenter will never atone for what he's wrought. Upon this world and all the innocence that it has sought, the ringing in his ears grows louder each and every day. That was interesting.
Because they're talking about him. Is that what it is?
That, or they're praying, or both. See what I'm saying? Like everybody's praying to him every day, Jesus, but it's just like ringing in his ears. But to your point, you're like, it's also, I think it could be, he's hearing his name used to do all this death and destruction in the world.
Well, they always say like, oh, your
be.
ears are ringing. Oh, it's because someone's talking about
I thought
you.
it was burning.
No, they're burning on your palms means you're gonna get money.
So ears are ringing, is that?
Yeah, that's what I always heard. If your ears are ringing, someone's talking about you. People would say, are your ears ringing? Are
Interesting.
your ears burning?
I am looking it up. Because I heard that in New York. That phrase. I was like, what? If you say my ears are burning, it means you know or think that other people are talking about you.
I've never heard that.
So I'm going to put it in ringing now because I'm that petty. And let's see what that says. Most people seek medical help for tinnitus. That's tinnitus. I think I won this argument. I won the argument. Yes. I win the arguments all the time, but I particularly won that one. Okay. So, can we get back to the review?
Have you ever heard the old wives' tale that when you hear ring ears, it means someone somewhere is talking about you?
All right. Well, then we tied for first. So then the ringing
strategically went to all the other ones.
The ringing in his ears grows louder each and every day. Okay, so somebody's talking about him or praying to him, and then he says, "We beckon the horsemen to ride onward, dressage laid on as we set our gaze elsewhere." So I'm assuming he's referring to the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right. So you've got the white horse. He went out conquering and to conquer, and then you had the red horse. And he was to take peace from the earth.
Oh yeah.
And have men slay one another. That was the red horse. And then you had the pale horse, which was plague. And then you had the black horse, which was death.
Yep.
So you had the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Was plague and famine, or what? I thought famine was in there, or was it just plague?
It was plague. In the Old Testament, the four issues, one of them is plague. So there's a variation in the Old Testament that you have that same, quadruple curse, and one of them is famine. But in Revelation, it's specifically pestilence, which is exactly what you see in siege warfare. You have famine and pestilence because whatever, which is what happened in 70 AD, which I believe Revelation was written around 66. But that's a separate. Maybe one of you beautiful people will request a Bible bash for Revelation. That should be interesting. But of course, the craziest line here is the carpenter will never atone for what he wrought. Which the term atonement is really cool, right?
Oh wow, okay, I see what you're saying. Oh my gosh.
Because it means, if you break down atonement, it's at one meant.
Yeah.
And the idea is that God and men are at odds with each other.
Yep.
Because of sin. So God's righteous, he's not going to compromise his standards, and men are evil, and we're not going to compromise our desire to do evil. And so we're against each other.
Yeah.
And then Jesus comes in the middle, and through the cross, he is able to bring both the sides together into one. So at one meant was the word, or atonement. So that's what atonement means in Christian theology. So the irony of this whole thing is that he's saying that Jesus will never be able to atone for what he's wrought upon the earth, namely, the blight of certain versions of Christianity. And it is for that very evil that people would do in his name that Jesus had to die in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like, what people don't understand from our perspective is that if you have a teacher, I think everybody would look on the Sermon on the Mount and go, okay, if every Christian lived this way, we could tolerate that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right? But the point is, if you had the best teacher on the planet who lived out what he taught every single day to the letter, and you can take that peaceful message and turn it into the excuse or the launching pad to massacre all these people. Is there any other example that you need that human beings are in need of a savior than that?
That's true. The Sermon on the Mount is oh my gosh, I'm just reading Matthew 5.
In Matthew 5 through 7.
Yeah. So you should read it. It's pretty extreme, like the stuff that people were.
It's extremely difficult to live up to.
Right.
And most Christians, especially evangelicals, when they read the Sermon on the Mount, they immediately try to find ways to say, well, it doesn't really mean that.
It can't mean that.
It doesn't mean turn the other cheek. It means blow the guy to eternity if he storms into your house. But and of course, we've demonstrated over and over again that human sinfulness is and our capacity to hurt one another is just plain human nature. It's not, all religion is called. Please, more blood was shed in the last century than all those other centuries combined, and none of those were Christian wars.
Right.
But so our perspective is everybody's nasty, and if that doesn't exempt religious people.
Right.
So religious people are going to do nasty stuff. Like, do you really believe that the conquistadors wouldn't have went around conquering places? Do you think they would have stayed exactly where they were if it weren't for Christianity? That's a very naive, ahistorical view of history. Like, history is replete with people trying to kill each other for capital. It's just, over time, our conscience was killing us so much that we had to find some way to justify that. And so they put religion around it. But that doesn't change anything. It doesn't change, and nobody wants to live the way Jesus told us to live.
Well, it's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
I remember when we were talking about the Sermon on the Mount, and then reading through it, okay, if I had to follow all of this, in one day, I know, as a Christian, that's the standard. But when you start reading it, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really far away from this. This is no joke.
Yeah. So, on the one hand, that line was extremely ironic to me, that Jesus would never be able to atone for for what he's wrought.
I see what you're saying.
And people were nasty and horrible and massacring each other by the millions before Jesus showed up. But what Jesus does give us is the contrast. Now you've got something to measure up to. So my atheist friends can tell me, hey, you're not living like this perfect standard of a person. Because now it's not. It's really, really interesting. It's I see it a lot with my atheist friends, especially when it comes to Christians and more, and I usually agree with them. They'll say, who would Jesus kill? Which is really, really interesting, because they're not appealing to a set of rules. they're appealing to the example of a person, which is vastly different. There's one thing to say, oh, the rule says you can't do that. Mm-hmm. It's a completely different thing to say, hey, this person, his example, you're not living his example. You're not living his way. Because it's like I tell Dorian all the time. Dorian wants very specifics on what he can and cannot do. Mm-hmm. And I say, no, Dorian, because the minute I give you specifics, you're going to look for some loophole. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened with the Old Testament law. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, you can't kill your brother, but I'm going to kill him in my heart. Oh, you cannot commit adultery, but I'm going to do it in my heart. Mm-hmm. So the minute you give us...
remember that verse that talks about like that they were tithing the exact like...
Right. The mill, the
this and that, but they were robbing widows and stuff. So it was like they were literally following the law, but they were being nasty people around the corners.
Right. So that's the thing is like, and we talked about this in the last Bible bash with Ian, where it's like in the Old Testament, God wanted to relate to us on a relational way, and we said no, we want law. Yeah. And the reason, anytime a person really starts, tell me exactly what the rule is. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times it's because they're looking for, okay, I want to be able to say I did this while at the same time that. Mm-hmm. So when our atheist friends are saying, oh, who would Jesus kill? Like, that's a a lot of Christians just kind of like shrug that off like that's an important question. Because now you can't just say, well, I was in the rules to do this. Right. Now you have to say, well, I cannot imagine Jesus doing a million things the Bible didn't speak about. There's lots of things that the Bible hasn't spoken about. The Bible never says don't go around saying, God hates fags. Mm-hmm. But you could never, ever picture Jesus do that. Ever. Right. And so that's the genius of the whole thing. And so, like, when I look at this, it's like, I see where the guy is coming from. Like, he's not devoted to worshiping Jesus, so he's going to say that the carpenter and I atone for what he's wrought. But at the same time, he's saying, if people would have followed through on his knowledge, then this world wouldn't be in the condition it is, but we wasted it.
Wow, what a smart writer.
Yeah, we are in the eye of the storm yet to come, grains of sand pouring through our fingers. That's heavy. Mm-hmm. If you think about our current, milieu, there's a lot of elements that are seething underneath the ground, and they're we're at a boiling point. Mm-hmm. And so this is a really conscious dude in the sense of like, and unfortunately, evangelical Christians are right in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not in the middle of it as far as like, we're, in my mind,
trying to go in there and heal.
Right, we're on the wrong side of a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Back in the day, if you had a problem with somebody and people were trying to kill you, you'd be able to run into the church doors, mm-hmm. and it would be like, okay, like, you can't touch this guy in the church doors. And then the priest would come out and, okay, you can't touch the priest. Even in Sharia, mm-hmm. Muhammad made it absolutely clear, you can't mess with a monastery or priest. Mm-hmm. Like, back in the day, the church was like, if you had two warring factions, you could run into the church, and then it didn't matter what you did. People, okay, fine.
Right. It was hands off. It was
hands off, and then the priest would stand in the middle of the doorway and be like, "Oh, what's good?" And they'd leave him alone. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't so much about the church's authority as it was the church was so outside of the political, it was like, if we were just going after certain things. So a Roman practice was to leave babies open to exposure and let them die in the town square. Christians would come and snatch up those, and Tacitus says, like, all they do is give alms, they sing, they give mm-hmm. to the poor, they're just giving all this stuff to the poor, and they're going to basically, Tacitus looking like they're just trying to convert people mm-hmm. by being this nice, And so, because we were so out of it, we didn't care who was running, we didn't care about Caesar, we didn't care about any of that stuff. We were just like, then we were looked upon as sort of like the arbitrator of morality in the city. Mm-hmm. Because even though they didn't want to live like us, they understood from our example.
Well, that it was good for the society. It was good for the people as a whole if things were that way.
Yeah, but now, we're not like that anymore because we're in bed with a Republican Party.
Yeah.
And so all this stuff that's seething underneath the ground right now in our country, and I don't know if these guys are necessarily from, did they say that they're from
London?
They're from London.
Yeah.
well, you got the Brexit stuff happening in London. I don't know if that's where the guy is going, but we're definitely in the eye of the storm yet to come, that's for sure. Like, stuff's about to really get unleashed against, you know, the Western world because, you know, I mean, it's getting pretty hectic. So, I just thought it was really, really good writing. He said a lot and very little, and whew.
Did this part make you, we are the eye of the storm yet to come, grains of sand pouring through our fingers, did that make you think of time at all? You know, like how the sand goes through that little hourglass?
Yeah.
But instead they were just like running through the fingers.
Yeah, I just looked at that like he's saying it's just a matter of time before the storm hits. Like, there's nothing we can do to overcome it.
Right.
At this point. And, you know, again, I don't believe in blaming religion for every human evil, but you have to admit, at least on the American side, that the evangelical party has essentially sold its soul to the Republican Party.
No.
I said the evangelical party.
Yeah,
but,
I know, yeah.
And so now, instead of being that refuge where people who are tired of the Republican Democrat thing, instead of being that refuge where people can come to, now that, you know, the church, now there's nobody running to the church for refuge. And you can't blame the world. You can't blame that on the world. Because, hello, evangelicals, when people are trying to come into this country for refuge, it's the evangelicals that are saying, get the hell out.
Yep.
So you don't even want them in your country, much less in your church. Good night.
It's not even just that either. Like, when you think about, you know, the way that, you know, the LGBTQ community has been treated by the church as a whole, it's been, you know...
It's been brutal.
It has, yeah.
It's been absolutely brutal.
And then you think to yourself, because some of the things that like people say are the way that they, you know, like, you know, I was listening to, there were some Christians that were talking, and I was saying how much I loved California, and they were like, I wouldn't go there. There's too many gays and stuff like that, and I'm like, what? Like, it was so like bizarre, like. So,
well, that's because you've been living in the village for the last.
That's what it is. That's what it is, because it was like. It was so weird to me. Like, it was like such a weird thing to say. I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah,
like,
now they're talking about
the whole state's gone.
Now they're talking about our friends.
Yeah.
Like our some really, really, really close friends.
Yeah.
So now you're, it's completely different, and it's crazy. I mean, you mentioned that to me. I didn't want to get into the particulars about how what was going through my head, because I'm like, man, you know, like.
Oh, yeah, I know.
There's always a zinger every time at one of those events. Remember the last time it was about the refugee kids?
Yeah, the kids, yeah.
We strive to reinvent the wheel in different ways, and it may spin dreadfully on ourselves.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Reinventing the wheel is like trying to create something.
Yeah, something that's already done right, you're trying to redo it and do it again.
Right. And
it was already perfect again. Why are you going to change it?
Yeah, which I think is really, really interesting, because it's basically like we're all looking at each other going, okay, this is not going to work. We're going to kill each other. We're going to like end the world. You know, we got nuclear technology and all the rest of it. So like we're trying to figure out ways to get along. But a lot of these faith traditions already have ways to get along if we would just apply them. So, like, and obviously I'm going to default to Jesus. We already have a solution. We already have the wheel that can make our world run in harmony. It's called the Sermon on the Mount. Let's live that way. But
seriously, you should read it.
But we're looking at it and we're like, nah, I'm not going to do that. So then we create our own systems and then they just end up devouring us, or that it may spin dreadfully on ourselves. Like, I just thought that this was I'm blown away by this song and the talent, and I really, really enjoyed it. Very, very good song. What'd you give it?
I mean, this is, I think, the best. I think that this one, I'm going with a 10. I think that this one, out of local bands, this is the one that's blown me away the most. I don't know if it's because this is the most recent one I've heard, but I don't think so. Like, I think that I'm like, these people really sound like they've already made it somewhere. So good for them. Great job, you guys. Very impressive. Very, very impressive.
Shout out to the big homie George.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, good lord.
What about you? What are you giving it?
It's a 10.5.
Whoa.
10.5. This song was unbelievable. No. This is the second time I've done this on a unsigned. I'm not even gonna call these guys amateur. This is an 11 for me.
I knew you were gonna like it. When I uploaded it to Trello, I was like, I feel like Vin's gonna like this one. I really think he's gonna like these people.
There's literally nothing to improve. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
It's a timeless message, and it's
Yep.
I really look. I don't have a problem with bands that are pissed off about Christianity or whatever, or disc God or whatever like that, because I'm so secure that it's the truth. When I hear that stuff, I'm just like, man, I hope
They're thinking about it.
Right. But this was nuanced, you know. And,
Yeah.
And I'm hanging that on the all the knowledge to his ears wasted this way. So he might come back and say, nah, I didn't mean that at all. I just meant that Christianity sucks and I hate God and Jesus. Okay, fine. But
Could be.
for now, they'll let us know. I'm going to look at it. But it just, the way the song started, the way it ended, the tremolo and the main, it just, everything was, you could not improve on it. And great message, great lyrics, great instincts, great decisions in you know, sequencing. And I just thought, so it's an 11.
Well, there you have it.
There you are. Very, very good song.
Good job, guys.
And then the on top of that, just the badassery of saying, pick any song.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
I've never seen that before.
No.
And you gotta think, that's quite an investment to get your song reviewed.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
Right.
And you want to put your best foot forward.
Right.
So for him to say that, I'm hoping more people say, man, I gotta hear this band,
Yeah.
because I want to hear the rest of this record. Anyway, very, very good song. These guys need to be on tour with Batushka and
Oh, I totally agree. Absolutely. Without question.
They need to open, and it needs to happen in Boston, because I don't think you guys are coming to Maine. And then everybody needs to hang out with me. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Vin.
Well, everybody likes you. Like, we do firesides. They're like, Vin, where's Sori?
No.
Nobody cares about little old Vincent.
You always say that.
Because it's true. Always says that when you do your live stream. Every time you do a live stream, it's like, oh, Sori, I love your live streams. Anyway, thank you guys very much. Love the song. Vin out.
Sorry, Al.
Gone.